Chapter 1. The summoning. It arrived under the door at exactly 12 a.m. A small package wrapped in oily parchment, sealed with black wax depicting a sigil Clara didn't recognize. She hesitated before opening it. 5 keys made from bone, each engraved with a different runic symbol. Clara was no occultist, just a librarian who loved rare books. Yet inside that package was something worse. A single sheet that whispered in silver ink, "You were always meant to open the gates." That night, voices scratched at her mind. One word repeated, "Enter." Chapter 2. Silent footsteps at work. Clara couldn't shake the sense she wasn't alone. Soft footsteps in the stacks. A whisper from behind the fiction section. "Clara." She turned. Nothing. The lights flickered. A book flew off a shelf by itself. Pages fanned open to a drawing. An inverted goat's head. She tried to leave. Every exit was blocked by darkness, not absence, but presence. Chapter 3. The Black Tome in the restricted archives. Clara found the forbidden book hidden behind locked glass. The leather binding was warm. The sigils on the cover pulsed in the faint lamplight. When she touched it, she heard an echo. "I am here." Inside, instructions in archaic Latin and terrifying sketches. A doorway torn open. Faces contorted with longing. A single bookmarked page bore a warning in red ink. "Once you read this, shadow becomes companion." Chapter. For the first mark that night, Clara woke to clawed patterns carved into her wrist. 5 letters. Satan. No pain, just numbness. A shape stood in the corner of her room, tall and hunched, eyes glowing faintly red. It spoke not with words, but with memory. She felt fear, shame, longing, as though it was extracting from her soul. The city outside fell silent. Sirens muted. Every sound pressed flat. The demon had come through. Chapter 5. The Contract. At dawn, Clara discovered writing on her bathroom mirror, etched in smoky frost. "This is your contract. 5 souls for freedom." That evening, her phone rang. A voice disguised as her own daughter's murmured, "Mom, I need you." Clara ran to the door. No one there. The key from the bone set turned itself in her lock. She realized she had already agreed. Chapter 6. Blood in the walls. Clara began to hear crying from her apartment walls. Not human, something smaller, older. She tore open the drywall and found finger bones wrapped in twine. Buried behind them, a child's drawing, a red figure with no face, and words scrawled in broken crayon. "He watches. He waits. He whispers." Later, the hallway floor creaked. A trail of blood led to her bedroom. The closet door was open. She hadn't left it that way. Chapter 7. The First Soul. The demon gave her a name. Benjamin Moore, a petty criminal who hurt people and never got caught. "He won't be missed," the voice cooed. Clara followed him after dark. Her breath fogged the air, even in summer. When she touched his shoulder, he turned and saw nothing. Clara's shadow peeled from her feet, stretched, and entered him. He collapsed, eyes rolled back, silent. One soul delivered. The demon purred. Chapter 8. Hollow Dreams. Clara dreamed of fire, a sea of ash, a throne made of antlers and stitched flesh. She stood before it, and the creature sitting upon it extended a skeletal hand. Rings made of children's teeth glittered. 3 more, my lamb. She woke with ash in her mouth. Her sheets were scorched at the edges. Outside, every bird was gone. Just silence and the low hum of something ancient beneath the earth. Chapter 9. Second offering. The next name. Angela Whitmore, a corrupt landlord. This time, Clara didn't hesitate. Angela's windows exploded inwards at 3:33 a.m. The mirror in her bathroom turned black. Clara stood in the reflection. Even though she wasn't there, Angela stared, transfixed. And from the mirror, something pulled her in. 2 souls. The gate quivered. Clara felt her hands grow colder. Her reflection now blinked out of sync. Chapter 10. The priest, who knew too much. Father Delaney came to Clara's door. "Something's wrong. You've opened something, haven't you?" She tried to lie. He put his hand on her shoulder. It sizzled. His eyes widened. "God help you, child." That night, she dreamed of him burning. By dawn, his church had collapsed. Police said it was a gas leak, but Clara knew better. She hadn't offered him. The demon took him anyway. Chapter 11. The Third Seal. Clara saw the name written in blood across her mirror. Miriam Leckler, a former cult leader who escaped justice. She was old, hidden in a hospice on the edge of the city. Clara brought roses. She walked into the room and noticed, just a visitor like any other. Miriam stared at her, blinked, and whispered, "You're the gate." The moment Clara touched her, black veins spread across Miriam's skin like ink in water. Her heart seized. She died with a smile. 3 souls delivered. The demon sank. Chapter 12. Veins of ink. Clara's body began to change. Veins turned darker. Sometimes they moved beneath her skin, like worms writhing. When she coughed, ink dripped from her mouth. Her eyes flickered red in the mirror. Not always, just enough. The book she'd found in the archives reappeared beside her bed each night, no matter where she hid or burned it. And now it whispered, 2 more, and the gate opens. But Clara was starting to forget who she was. She woke up with dirt beneath her fingernails and no memory of where she'd been. Chapter 13. Broken things. Her friend Lena came by, concerned. Clara looked pale, her voice calm. Lena said, "You need help. Real help. You're scaring me." Clara nodded, but inside her head, the demon shrieked. That night, Lena had a seizure. Her body twisted in unnatural angles. Her mouth opened wider than any human should. Clara watched detached. A tear ran down her cheek, but she did nothing. The demon whispered, "I didn't take her. You let her go." Chapter 14. The fourth name came with no warning. Clara Barnes. Her own name. She screamed, tore the pages, burned the book again, but the mark was already there, carved deep between her shoulder blades. A circle, with an eye and a flame. She understood now. The 5th soul wasn't a stranger. The 5th would be the final offering. But she was the 4th. She'd already died. Slowly, silently, the night she opened the package. The rest was just possession. Chapter 15. The abyss stirs. Clara fled the city. She drove through rain and smoke, the world around her bending. Roads looped back, gas stations blinked in and out. Time unraveled. She reached an abandoned chapel in the woods. There, in the basement, was the original gate. Black stone, pulsing faintly, and standing before it, not a demon, but a mirror. Inside it stood a version of herself, whole, human, terrified. The demon whispered, "Choose." Only one. Clara leaves, and the gate began to open. Chapter 16. A mirror of flesh. Clara stared into the mirror. Her reflection begged, "Please, I remember Mom. I remember the lake. I knew before all of this." But behind the glass stood the demon's version, taller, hungrier, her smile slightly off. The real Clara realized something horrible. The demon didn't want 5 strangers. It wanted 5 versions of her, each soul devoured at a different stage of her transformation. The child, the friend, the mother, the sinner, the shell. She was next. Chapter 17. The devouring gate. The gate pulsed. Stone cracked. Screams echoed behind it, not from hell, but from Clara's own memories. Her childhood bedroom. Her mother's voice. Laughter distorted into growls. The demon finally revealed itself, not as a horned beast, but as a shifting storm of shadows wearing Clara's face. "You called me. You begged to be more. You opened the package." She realized. She summoned it, unintentionally, through her grief. The loss of her daughter had torn a hole deep enough to let something in. Chapter 18. Reversal. Clara tried to shut the gate. She spoke the Latin words from the black tome in reverse. Blood ran from her eyes. The demon screamed, but not in pain. In laughter. "You think you can unmake me now? After all I've given you?" The chapel walls buckled. 1,000 shadows pressed inward. Then the demon whispered, "There's still one soul left, and she's hiding in your dreams." Chapter 19. The 5th soul. She fell into sleep like falling into the ocean. There, in the dream world, she saw herself as a child, barefoot, holding a toy rabbit, standing beside her mother's grave. The last soul was innocence. The first Clara, the one who hadn't broken yet. She knelt. "I'm so sorry." The child turned to her, eyes black, voice hollow. "You let them all die." Then she smiled and walked into the fire. Chapter 20. The demon wears her skin. Clara woke screaming, but it wasn't her voice. Chapter 21. A city of open mouths. The world had shifted. Clara walked through her old neighborhood, but the people were wrong. Their faces blurred, eyes too wide, mouths slightly open, whispering in languages only the dead could speak. A child rode a tricycle in circles, leaving ash behind her wheels. The church bells rang 13 times, and on every wall, scrawled in blood or soot, "She walks again." Clara was no longer hiding the demon. She was the demon. Chapter 22. The last gate. There was one final gate. Not stone, not ritual. It was her daughter's grave. The demon had promised to bring her back, to give Clara the one thing she couldn't find in prayers or pills or therapy. Clara stood over the grave, dug until her fingers bled. But the coffin was empty. A lullaby drifted from behind. She turned. Sophie stood there, no older, pale, eyes glowing gold. "I waited, Mommy. Why did you take so long?" Chapter 23. Bargain of the damned. Sophie wasn't Sophie. She was a vessel, a baited illusion. Clara fell to her knees. "Take me. Leave her alone." The demon cackled through her own throat. "You are me. There is no deal. There never was." The ground cracked. Bones twisted through the soil. Gravestones bent backward. Screams poured from the sky. Clara felt herself splitting. Two minds in one skull. And the other was winning. Until something whispered back, "You are not alone." Chapter 24. The hollow choice inside her mind. Clara stood at a crossroads. To the left, fire, power, a throne built of every soul she'd given. To the right, silence, nothing, true death. Her reflection stood beside her, the real one, battered, but untouched by the demon's corruption. Choose. She stepped toward the fire, stopped, turned, and leapt into the void. Chapter 25. Whispers never die. They found Clara in the chapel ruins, alive, eyes burned white, mouth stitched shut. She hasn't spoken in years. Sometimes she screams, but only when the clocks hit 3:33 a.m. and on quiet nights. If you stand outside her asylum cell, hear the whispers, not from her lips, but from the mirror they had to cover with a black cloth. Because it's smiling, and it's waiting, and it knows your name. Chapter 26. Black thread. It had been 6 months. Clara's body remained locked in the asylum, mouth still stitched, but inside she was screaming, not from pain, from knowledge. The void she jumped into. It wasn't death, it was the space between worlds. And in that silence, she saw something. A thread stretching from her soul to 7 others, each glowing dimly. 7 doors, 7 keys, 7 potential Claras across other lives. You thought your world was the only one I touched. The demon's voice returned, smoother now, more ancient. You're just my favorite failure. Chapter 27. Subject 13. At the same time, in another city, miles away, another Clara. She went by a different name now. Claire Donovan, a forensic psychologist. She started having visions, porcelain faces behind mirrors, a voice calling her sister. A patient scribbled a symbol she'd never seen, the spiral eye. Claire dismissed it at first, until one night, she woke up in her apartment, her walls covered in symbols written in her own blood. No wounds, no pain, just that same phrase again and again. One of 7. Chapter 28. Eyes in the dark. Back at the asylum, Dr. Reese Halvorsen was assigned to Clara Barnes. She hadn't moved in months, until the night shift nurse heard her humming a lullaby. The same lullaby Sophie, her daughter, once sang. Reese reviewed the footage. Her mouth was still sewn shut, but the audio picked up 2 voices, one female, one deeper. She's waking up. We must find the rest. That same night, Reese began dreaming of a spiral tunnel lined with mirrors. In each mirror, Clara's face. Chapter 29. The dream chasm. Claire Donovan, Clara 2, was pulled into a shared dream. There she met the original Clara, bound in chains of flame, surrounded by shifting copies of herself. You don't know what you are, do you? Clara whispered. We were all made to break, one by one, until the gate opens permanently. Clara woke with a new scar across her chest, a spiral shape. She was marked. Now the voices wouldn't stop. Find the 7th, or die with the rest. Chapter 30. Spiral prophecy. Reese, found an old journal in the asylum archives, written by a long-dead nun from 1911. It detailed a ritual gone wrong, opening a mirror gate that split a soul into 7 fragments, each sent across dimensions. The prophecy read, "The demon seeks wholeness. 7 shall fall. On the 7th eclipse, the true vessel shall rise." Reese circled the final line, "And her name shall be Clara." He looked up from the book and saw Clara staring at him through the observation glass, now still stitched, eyes glowing. She winked. Chapter 31. Claire's mirror. Claire's bathroom mirror was fogged after a sleepless shower. She wiped it clean. Her reflection didn't match. It smiled wider, tilted its head the wrong way, then whispered, "5 left." That night, Claire found herself dreaming again. But now there were other women, 6 of them, all resembling her in age and face, all caught in burning reflections. One screamed, clawing the glass. Another stood smiling, already corrupted. One by one they were dying. Chapter 30. To breach back in the asylum. Clara sat up for the first time in 7 months. The stitches were gone. Staff were frozen in place, caught in looping time. A moment stretched into eternity. She walked past them, barefoot, eyes hollow. In her hand, a shard of mirror. Still whispering, she carved a spiral into the floor. The lights turned red. Sirens wailed, and then she disappeared. Chapter 33. The breaking of Elsa Rivera. The third Clara was an artist in New York. She painted visions she didn't understand. One day, she painted a doll she'd never seen, one with bleeding eyes and a smile stitched shut. The painting moved. That night, something climbed out of her canvas. Elsa ran, but her apartment sealed itself. Her own hands betrayed her. In the morning, the police found her body slumped in a chair, face painted over in white porcelain. A spiral burned into her back. Another one gone. Chapter 34. The gathering. Claire began gathering clues, photographs, strange books, symbols. She tracked down Clara Barnes, the 4th Clara, a librarian in Oslo who had been hearing voices for years. Clara didn't resist. She had already begun preparing for it. "Everything is scripted," she said, showing her arms, carved with each Clara's name. Claire realized then, one of them wasn't a victim. One of them was working for the demon. But who? Chapter 35. Clara Prime. Somewhere outside time, the original Clara sat before a mirror in the void. It no longer reflected anything. She now heard voices, all versions of herself, suffering, screaming, corrupting. One Clara, number 6, had already offered herself to the demon to escape the pain, and now she was hunting the rest. The game had changed. It was now Claras versus Claras, and the gate was almost open. Chapter 36. Shattered truths. Claire and Clara found a hidden monastery in Romania, a forgotten order called the Watchers of the Spiral. Its ruins were overgrown, but the vault beneath still pulsed with warmth. Inside, a book bound in mirror glass and flesh. It told the full origin. There were never meant to be 7 Claras. There was only one Clara Barnes, and the demon fractured her soul to delay judgment. Each Clara was a piece of guilt, and until they were either killed or absorbed, the demon couldn't fully possess the Prime. Claire now understood, and so did Clara. But Clara had already made her choice. Chapter 37. The 6th awakens. Clara lured Claire into a trap. She'd aligned with the demon not out of fear, but obsession. She wanted to become whole. She wanted to be Clara Prime. In the ruins, mirrors cracked and bled. Claire fought her, but Clara chanted the ancient rite. Spiral to spiral, piece to piece, fold me in, release the beast. One Clara died. One Clara absorbed. Clara became something inhuman, and the gate cracked further. Chapter 38. Clara's choice. The void opened again. Clara Prime stood at its edge. The demon, now taking shape, towered in molten shadows behind her. It offered her an end. Not victory, not peace, but stillness, oblivion. All she had to do was stop fighting. Let Clara become the vessel. Let the others die. Let the world unravel quietly. Clara nearly gave in, until a voice called from the abyss. "Mommy." "Sophie." "Still waiting." Chapter 39. Gatefire. The gate opened fully. All 7 Claras, or what was left of them, appeared across the broken sky, their images hovering above cities like inverted suns. Clara, fully possessed, began to ascend. The dead rose, glass turned to blood, cities echoed with the same phrase, "You are me." Clara Prime, holding the last mirror shard, did something none of the others had tried. She turned the mirror toward herself, not to reflect, but to cut. As the shard pierced her heart, light poured from the wound, and the demon screamed. Chapter 40. Silence beyond. When Clara awoke, the world was quiet again. No whispers, no mirrors, no spiral. She stood alone in a field, beneath stars she didn't recognize. Her reflection no longer followed her. A little girl took her hand. "Is it over?" Sophie asked. Clara didn't answer. She just held on tighter. Somewhere far behind them, in a place no map can name, a single mirror remained, unbroken, watching, waiting for the next crack. The end. She looked in the mirror. The demon had taken her place. Her hands weren't hers. Her teeth were sharper. Her reflection grinned when she didn't, and the voice inside her head whispered, "There are more gates to open, more Claras in more worlds. Let's begin again." Thunder rolled outside. The gate was fully open now, and she walked out into a world that no longer recognized her.